Hello, everybody. I am Stacy. Nobody here has a video, or some people have a photo up, but if you do want to have a video, I do like seeing faces. It's very helpful in teaching. But if not, just hang tight and participate in the workshop just through listening. There was a materials list. If you didn't see it, it's okay, because you can just kind of like listen in and then do some of the dyeing at another time. But if you did get the materials list and you are ready to dye right now, then you can just write in the chat. That way I know that you're following along, and I can just maybe help guide along on the chat as well. Okay, so I'll just do a little introduction about myself and plant dyeing. It's actually kind of been a pandemic project for me. I started with a hibiscus dye, and I did a silk scarf. And I really love the pink hue that came from it. And from that, I was just kind of like, okay, what other colors can I extract from different plants and fruits and vegetables? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to do an avocado dye. The color that comes from avocado is this sort of pink, dusty. This was a skirt that I made. Pink, dusty kind of color. It's quite pretty. So this is just the avocado skins and pits. There are other things that you can do to modify the color, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So, okay, you have your skins here. The best avocados to use are the ones that have a bit of a more pinky, purpley tint. I definitely have noticed that going to the grocery store more often now, so I'll pick those ones. So the skins will have a bit more of a lighter color, and then the actual pit here will produce a bit of a darker tone, but still within the kind of dusty, pinky tones. Sometimes you'll get peach. The thing with natural dyes is you never really know what you're gonna get. It depends on the water, like pH of the water. It depends on the material using, just where it's been grown. So it's sort of like a Kinder surprise for me every time, but I actually really enjoy that. Okay, so, oh yes, the cool thing about avocados is that they have natural tannins. So tannins will help the color to adhere to a fabric. And when I work with natural dyes, I tend to just only use natural fabrics. So I'll use cotton or silk. So I'm going to use cotton today. The thing with cotton is that it needs to be mordanted. And mordant, did someone write in chat? Sorry, got it. No, okay, something popped up for me. Okay, so the thing with cotton and cotton, hemp, yeah, I would say those two fibers, is that you do need a mordant. Silk and wool, you don't. So silk and wool will absorb color very nicely, and the cotton, you need a bit of assistance. Now, the thing with avocado is, because it does have tannins, is that you don't necessarily need to mordant the fabric, but it does give a little bit of a boost. So I'm just going to go over that little mordanting process right now. There are a few different things that you can do. So I have a pot. I'm going to do a bit of a pretend one here, because I did do one already. Different mordants that you can use. You can use soy milk. You can use alum powder. You can use egg whites. You can use blood. Back in the day, that's how they mordanted their fabrics. They used blood, they used urine, all that kind of stuff. But we're basically trying to use, to transform cotton into silk, because silk has a protein in it which adheres to the natural dye. And what we're doing by mordanting is we're kind of transforming the bonds in the fabric to act more like silk. So that's what we're doing with the cotton. So I've used alum powder. So you can pick this up at most like bulk kind of stores. I picked this one up in Kensington, and it was $2.50 for, I don't know, it was like kind of filled up to there. I usually just boil a pot of water, and I don't really measure anything. I know a lot of people will weigh things and measure. My whole style has always been just kind of like da-da-da, whatever looks right, you know. That's just how I do things. There are ways of measuring and weighing things, and there are so many resources that have that, but I personally don't have a scale. So I've just been kind of pouring and pouring. So I would pour the water, and I would literally just like, for the alum, I'm not gonna do it right now, but you need to wear a mask, and you wanna wear gloves because you just don't want the powder to get into your nose. So I just pour this in here with the hot water, and I will stir it, and I'll take my cotton fabric and I'll stick it in there, and I'll give it a whoosh around, making sure that it's fully covered with water. And then I will leave it for, you want to leave it for a minimum of an hour. You can leave it overnight if you choose. I don't always think like the longer the better, like you don't need to leave it for days. For soy milk, you want to actually leave it in longer. So you might want to do that one for like, yeah, overnight kind of thing. But for alum, I find alum actually works a little bit better. So I usually do it for an hour or 2 hours. So that's that. Now the next thing that I'm just gonna get started because we need to get the pot going is we take the avocado skins and pits. I would say about 4 or 5 of these pits, and then the matching skins with it. And we also put it in another pot here and fill it up with water. And with avocado skins, you don't want it to boil too much. You kind of just want to have it simmering. And I would say, again, minimum an hour is good. You could go longer. You can just like keep extracting the dyes. So I'm gonna go and take these and put them in the pot. I will be back in a second. I'm back. All right. Okay, so we got the pot going and we got the mordant going. That's always the first step when it comes to dyeing. So there is a bit more of like a waiting period. Again, if you want to do things faster, I usually use alum powder. And if you want to do things really fast, just use silk because you don't need to mordant it. There are other food scraps that you can use that have natural tannins in it. So you can make a dye from pomegranate skins that will be a little more yellow. I love, I almost call this orange, onion skins. Onion skins are great. They're amazing. The color is so vibrant. You can do a whole pot of onion skins. I go to this local grocery store near me, and I come with a bag and I just take their onion skins, and they love that I take them. They work amazing. So yes, get your onion skins, start saving them. Another great thing is tea. Here we go. So black tea, I have some in here. Black tea also has natural tannins. So again, you can get a really nice dye from this. I also like to use eucalyptus. I have eucalyptus here. Eucalyptus, you want to have, you at a higher heat, you'll get more of an orangey kind of color that comes from it. But I also like eucalyptus because it does this sort of printing effect when you bundle it. And I will show you the bundling techniques when we start our dyeing. I also like to pick up random leaves, like here. So these were some maple leaves. I used these already before, and I'm going to see what color I can get from it, but I do have a whole bag of leaves that I just put in my freezer. Marigold is also really nice. The thing with marigold is that it's a flower. So here, we'll go back to fast forward to the beginning. As I said, some things will have tannins in it. Flowers will not. So you will need a mordant for that. So things like marigold, I talk about marigold a lot because it does produce a very nice orange color, but you can experiment with rose. There's just different flowers as you're walking. I find ones that have more of a purple hue will create a really nice color as well. But again, you need to mordant those so that the fabric can really take on the color. So examples of berry dyes and flowers. Here we go. They're probably all gonna look the same, to be honest, from the lighting right now. So this was a purple. This I used blackberries. So when I first did it, it was pretty vibrant. It was a very nice purple. It still is. It's sort of like this lilac tone. We are recording. Oh, sorry. So yeah, this was very vibrant and purple. After time, what happens, the sun kind of fades the color out, and it becomes a little bit more pale, but still a nice shade of a kind of lilac purple. This one here was done with iris. Iris creates a really nice blue dye. And you can see I literally took the flowers and smushed it in, but you can see there's like a little bit of texture happening there. So iris will be a really good, useful flower. And what else did I do? This was a madder root. So that came out really, really pink. There's a whole world of colors and dyes out there. There's a lot of interesting things that you can do. This one here, I just like sprinkled, some food scraps and other dye pigments to get that. Now, what we're doing here is more of, I would say, like a tea infusion of dye. So it's called like whole plant dyeing. And what you're doing is like taking just whole materials. So whether you're taking just a whole bunch of flowers or berries or avocados, and you're putting it in a pot. That would be like whole dyeing. So basically making a tea. There are other products that you can get that they already have the plant dried and powdered, and those are things that you can buy at different dye shops. So I do use some of those as well. If I want different colors. So for example, this is a marigold, and this is like a powder that you can use, and I usually just use like a tablespoon in there, but there's a lot of different dyes that you can get. So we are going to go. All right, so we talked about fiber. Yes, so protein fiber, it will be your wool, silk, and that can easily absorb color. Then you have your cellulose fiber, which is cotton, linen, hemp, and they need mordants, or else they'll be very pale and will wash out. And back to mordants, we can use soy milk. Soy milk is like the best eco-friendly. We can use almond powder, we can use egg whites, yogurt, blood, pea, that kind of stuff. I wouldn't use the blood. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna take this. This was a mordanted piece of material here. And I just want to know, maybe if anyone is in the chat, before I continue, is anyone actually like doing the dyeing on the spot right now, or are you just sort of following along? Okay. I think everyone's just kind of listening in, so that's okay. Okay, so I do a few different techniques. This is a bundling technique for the dye. This is the fun part. Taking notes. All right, sounds good. So you're gonna take your fabric like so. This has been mordanted. Okay, so this one I used in alum powder. Here we go. And once I take it out of the pot, I will give it a nice rinse. The other thing, oh yes, back to, see, there's a lot of things. Sorry if I just keep going all over the place. The other thing about fabric is that it's better to have something that's been a little more used and old. Brand new stuff, you want to put it through the, a washing cycle. There's a thing called scouring, and that's where you kind of like, you'll just kind of like rub it together with like some soapy water and just kind of get rid of like any of the bleaches and things that have happened in the material. But if it's old and it's worn, it's actually going to absorb color so much better. So I recommend going to a thrift store and just seeing whatever you can get that's cotton. Silk is going to be your best, and work with those materials. But if you do have something new, again, you want to put it through the washing cycle, and you do want to mordant it. So here I have a pillowcase, and what I'm going to do here is find the outside of it, flip it through. Oh yes, and when it comes to avocados, is you want to, after you eat them, you want to give them a good scrubbing of the green on the inside, and I just like to put them out in the sun and let them dry out. They can get moldy if you let them out for too long and forget about them. That's definitely has happened. So I usually like to dry them, and then I'll put them in the freezer. Or sometimes if I'm kind of lazy, I clean them and I throw them right in the freezer, and then I will put them in the pot. So there's a few different ways. It depends on how much space you have in your freezer. Okay, so I have this one, and I'm just gonna let's have a little fun here and do a little pattern perhaps. I'm gonna take some onion skins, so you see here, and I just like to crumple them up like so. Maybe actually I can put this like that. There we go. Ugh. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna have a little onion skin party here. Turmeric is good as well. That will give you a nice yellowy tone. But I find the onion skin is good enough for the yellow that I don't really need any turmeric. But again, I love experimenting. And that's why I actually don't really follow too many rules of weighing and measuring things, because I like making mistakes. I mean, that's how I've learned. A lot of this is, a little bit new to me, but I've done a lot of it in the past like year and a half, and I've learned a lot from mistakes and special surprises. So it's been fun, and it's really fun to actually just figure out on your own what's going to dye. I'm in some groups, and I found some flowers that were growing at the side, and it was the Columbine Flowers, beautiful purple flower. And I remember asking the groups, "Oh, do you think this is gonna dye?" And people are like, "Oh, it's just gonna be gray." Like, "Nah, it's not gonna get a color." And I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna try it myself." And I tried it, and it came out so purple. It was so purple, and some of it was blue. And it just really showed that maybe I shouldn't be listening to too many people. Maybe I should just like experiment on my own. So yeah, you never know. I mean, my flowers can be different from their flowers. You never know, right? So I just say, go out picking and see what happens. Goldenrod is really good as well. You're gonna get a nice green from that. Okay, so here we go. I did some nice onion. I used these for eco printing before, and I will show you the eco printing prints that come out, because that is a whole other world of plant dye. And I'm just gonna put some of these. They might still have some color. You know, just have fun with it there. Do, 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 do. Okay. I'm gonna throw a little bit of tea on it. Do, 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 do. This one is purely going to be the food scrap and outdoor leaf print thing. Because sometimes I do use the powdered stuff that I buy. Oh, what were the dark leaves? Okay, so the dark leaves, these ones here, these are a Japanese maple leaf. Well, we're a little bit late now, but the fall is the best time when all the leaves have freshly fallen off people's trees. I just go and collect them on my street. They seem to be happy about it. So you know those really bright red Japanese maple leaves? They're kind of thin. They're like the color has been extracted out already, but I'm gonna see if I can get even more color out of it. Oddly enough, it turns green, and so the red leaf will turn green. It's super weird, but I don't know, it's pretty cool. I don't know if any other color is gonna come from this, because this is gonna be a second dye job, but I love experimenting, so I'm just gonna see what happens. I'm gonna put that there, and hope that answered the question. The other is eucalyptus. So I love the smell of eucalyptus, so I'm always buying eucalyptus for my house. And what I like to do is just take the leaves here and place them around. Da, 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 da. Okay. That looks like a good pillow salad. Okay, so now next step. You know, I just like to fill in the gaps a little bit. Like, I'll just throw some more onion in there. Whatever we can get. Okay, great. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna figure out, let's do, yes, I'm gonna roll it from this end. This is the opening end. What you wanna consider when you are doing bundle dyeing is the first roll that you do from here is gonna have less of the avocado dye and more of this. The outside is gonna have, so this end here is gonna have more of the avocado dye because it's sort of wrapping over the roll. So you'll see here, I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna roll it in like so. I actually want to make sure I fill in these ends as well. Make sure they get some stuff happening. Okay. And I'm gonna roll and roll and roll. You wanna roll it nice and tight. Like that. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Okay, so I did my roll. And what I like to do here is take the two ends and I kind of just roll it into itself. And I make a little like butterfly looking roll. And now I take some twine right here. And I'm gonna squeeze this in between my legs here. Okay. And I'm gonna tie. This was a loose one, but I would cut it a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm gonna cut another piece here. Take some Fine, don't take elastic, because then you're gonna do what I did. And what I did was I had elastic on and I forgot about the pot. Well, well, well. That rubber band sure did melt and create a smell. So, a little lesson here. Don't forget that you're doing a dye pot and stick to non-rubber bands. Okay, and I'm gonna tie it again, like so. Nice and tight. Great. There we go. I had another pillowcase, but that one, I'm just gonna let the avocado do its thing. So I'm not gonna do it in a bundle. Other stuff that you can do, again, back to silk. I wanna show you how beautiful silk can be. This one was dyed using eucalyptus leaves and tea. No mordant needed, but it just takes on color so beautifully. And you know what I'm thinking? What I want to do is actually do a silk one also, so we can do a little bit of comparison. So I have this silk fabric here. This silk was actually first dyed with hibiscus, and it was a pink, and as you can see, it faded a lot. So you'll have a really nice color for, you know, a year or two, and then it starts to fade. But that's okay because I can reuse it. So I'm actually just gonna cut a piece of this silk so I can add it to the bundle. So let me do one. I'll do a square. Maybe I can turn it into something after. All right, cut. A really good place to buy silk is G&S Dye. A piece like this, I think, was maybe somewhere about, I think this one was like, yeah, maybe like $10 or something. They have a lot of different textures in their silk too. Some are thicker. Ooh, these scissors aren't doing that great. Cut. No, they're not my sharp scissors. There we go. All right, I'm just gonna do a rip. Perfect. Okay. Here is the silk. Let's do one with silk now, so we can do some comparison. I will take, again, some onion skins. Ooh. Okay. Maybe I'll do this one a little different. Maybe the pattern will just be in the middle. And have fun with that. So I'll take some onion skins, some tea again. Bag of onion skins. There we go. Yeah, I'll do like a pattern in the middle. That'll be fun. Some tea and some more. More eucalyptus. Is there a way to minimize fading? Okay. Good question. Taking note. Okay, so yeah, if you just don't put it in the sun, some just won't fade. So like I find the colors that have tannins, or sort of the materials that do have natural tannins won't really fade. but it's the ones that are like berries and flowers that will fade a little bit more. You can use iron. Iron is what's going to help with the fading, and are all fabrics treated in alum water. Okay, so the only fabrics that you don't need to treat in alum is going to be silk and wool. So things with a protein fiber, so an animal fiber. This one is silk that I'm using. This was not treated in alum, but this was previously dyed with hibiscus and it completely faded. The fabrics that need to be treated with a mordant would be cotton and hemp. I'll leave my email address at the end because I do have like a whole thing, because I know there's just like so much, the whole world. It's like, oh, you know, there's like little tidbits and in all these categories, but I have it all written out. So I will be sending people things if I'll leave my email. So just send me an email, I'll send it all out. But yeah, so you can mordant again with the alum and the soy milk. Those are the main two used. The alum is a little more toxic, you want to wear a mask. Soy will take longer, but it's a little more peaceful for the environment. Hopefully that helped. And again, to minimize fading, I'm gonna put this in the bundle and I'm gonna talk about the magic of iron. So let me first do, oops. Yes, the other thing is silk is very flimsy. Okay, so I'm actually just gonna start rolling like this. And again, roll. Okay, like that. And again, fold the corners in, together. Great. String. Snip. And tie. Okay, great. So I have these. Now I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna bring the avocado dye bath over so I can show you. I'm gonna take my gloves as well. So hold tight. Okay, I am back here. You need one of these gloves so that you can really just stick your hand into the pot. It's gonna be hot. So everything is now mushy. See here, the avocado pit open. And now I'm just gonna squeeze it. And I'm just gonna squeeze all the dye stuff and see if I can get even more color to come out. So that's what you're gonna do with yours. This dye pot I did start before the class, and I just did add a little more when I was chatting with you in the beginning, just to do an example. You wanna get, I think a good time for avocado would be, I would say an hour and a half of just simmering. And then you want to do the squishing. So you're just going to take your gloves. So this is what I'm doing right now. And you're just squishing, seeing if you can get any more of the dye stuff out. Okay. Whew. Hot. So I'm just squishing all these. And then you would bring it back and extract more. Now what I'm gonna do is, so normally you would actually kind of strain out all the dye stuff, so all the avocado skins, but I'm not really looking for even color right now. In fact, I kind of like when things look a little, I don't know, not too perfect. And because these are also bundles, there's no need to have the evenness. So I'm actually just gonna take these and stick them in this pot. I can already start to see a little bit of the pink color once I put something in there. It probably is a bit harder for you to see from there. I'm gonna take this other little silk one, throw it in there, and then I'm gonna take one that's just plain. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Take the other pillowcase that was just, ooh, so I can see it's peachy. There we go. And I'm gonna bring this all back to the kitchen and put it on the stove and just let it simmer again. And I usually like to let things simmer for about another hour. So we'll do this here. You will want to check on your pots, you know, I would say every 10 or 15 minutes, and just give it a good stir so you can have an even color. There are other ways of dyeing. So I'm going to start talking about this. And this is good if you don't really want to sit beside a pot the whole time. You can make your dye and put it in a jar or keep it in a pot and literally just stuff their fabric in there and let it sit for overnight or a few days. So that would be like a cold method of dyeing. So you would want to, like, what I like to do is also, I'll make a dye. So I'll make my avocado dye. And then I'll take my fabric and I'll put it in there while it's cold. And, you know, maybe the next day I'll take it out, give it a rinse and throw it back in there and see what more color I can get. And I can leave it in there for a couple days and the color should get darker and darker. You can also do a solar method of dyeing, and that's where you take like your plant material. Some plants, they don't need to be like cooked in a pot. It's mostly flowers. You can just put flowers and water and put it out in the sun and it kind of does its heating thing. And then you can put your materials in and just let them sit in jars. You could also even do ways where you like bury, you know, fabric like into the dirt with, you know, different flowers inside the bundle and like let it sit there for a few weeks. I've never actually personally done that, but I've seen people do it. So that's another way of extracting colors and dyes. The other thing, so we're going to go back to minimize fading. Iron is a bit of a magical little transformation tool that I do like to use. You can take a rusty nail and put it, I have this jar here. See this, it's kind of like orangey. There's a nail inside. You can put this with some vinegar and some water and let it sit for, you know, a couple weeks. And you're gonna get this orangey color that comes out of it. This will transform the dye color. Examples. It's really cool. Iron is quite magical in this. This material. This was dyed with marigold, so it's a very bright yellow. I dyed this 2 times, so I don't think that's going to fade that much. Now, if you add iron, you will get a darker shade. So you see this one here, it's a little bit darker. Actually, it looks a lot darker there. When you add iron, the color is really gonna stay and really gonna bond. The only thing is that iron is, they call it like a satiner. So if you do have a bright color, it's just gonna make it darker, make it a little more sad, but it's gonna last longer and it's gonna be those deeper tones. I usually seem to like those deep tones. Another example of something that was dipped in iron would be, ooh, I have so many textiles. Let's do, this is a good example. Yeah, actually, because this was avocado and iron. I did a little print on top, but I don't know if you can see the actual color. And I'll compare it with avocado. Avocado and iron. Avocado and iron will make purple. Isn't that neat? You can do, actually this entire pillow that has like a whole, there's so many shades and they're all kind of, I'm like using the same thing. This was iris, so I had that blue color. This was actually another marigold with iron, but I think I added a little too much iron, so it came like a little more on the brown tones. Logwood is another one, but logwood doesn't grow here, so that's something that you do order online. This was another marigold and iron. Again, it kind of came out a little on the green side. This is logwood. You're gonna get a really super purple color from there. This is marigold. There's a little bit of eucalyptus happening in there. A lot of different textures. You'll see from these yellow splotches, that was from me taking a marigold flower and like just crushing it up on this fabric. I think I'm gonna make a blanket or some sort of pillow from this thing. And then I have, here we go. What you can do is take leaves and dip them into iron. So iron water. So you'll take a leaf, you'll dip it into the here. Wear a glove. Wear gloves. You better wear gloves. Okay. I'm saying this because I didn't wear gloves one time. So you're gonna put your leaves in there, and then you're gonna place it on the material and do a bundle dye technique. And you can see here you'll get a leaf print. If you're really into the leaf printing, then you might like eco printing. And that is, let me see if I have a sample somewhere in here. Here's a little one. This is done on paper. You're gonna get a much more vibrant color from eco printing on paper because it is a different technique. And that, I'm not going to get into this one because this is like a whole other world, but it just shows you the potential of natural dyes. And I do teach eco printing if anyone is interested in stuff like that. All right. Does anyone have any questions so far? I know it's a lot, and I feel like I just need to go and do a bit of a review to go over the steps, because you're basically an octopus. You have to do all this prep that allows you have to do like everything at the same time, and then there's the waiting, and then there's the reveal. Okay, so if no one has any questions yet, then I'm just gonna go over the steps again so that it's in our brains. All right. Here we go. Recap from the beginning. Here's what you're gonna wanna do at the same time. You're gonna start mordanting your fabric in soy milk or almond powder. Soy milk you're gonna have to do for a much longer time. Why are you mordanting it? Because you wanna turn your cotton fabric into something that is more like a protein fabric. Protein will attach to the natural dyes. And it will attach to the natural dyes that don't have tannins, which is most likely going to be the flowers and berries. The plants that do actually have natural tannins are avocados, so you don't necessarily need to mordant, but if you want to, you might get a more vibrant color. Again, pomegranate skins will have tannins, tea will have tannins, and many leaves will also have tannins. Okay, so you're going to do your mordanting. At the same time, you're going to be making your bath. So you're going to, again, scrub all your avocado skins, your pits, and you put them in a pot of water. I would say about 5 avocados. I don't weigh things or anything. I'm all about experimenting. So you're going to do that in the pot of water, let it simmer. Okay. Wait an hour and a half, go back to the pot, smush it all up, see what more dye you can get from it. Let it simmer. And then your mordanting fabric should be done. So you're gonna lay it up here if you want to do your bundle. You're gonna put on a bunch of little scraps, things here and there. You're gonna roll it. You're gonna tie it. You're gonna throw it in the pot. Okay. And then you're gonna wait. Now, if you want to make color turn darker, a little more purple, what I usually do is I will add some iron at the very end of the dye bath to change that color. But if you want to save that dye, don't do it. Or maybe do it in a separate pot, because you're just gonna mess everything up. So if you want to save your avocado dye, which you can reuse a few times, if you have the pits, you can just like keep letting that bath go. Then don't add the iron. If it's at the end of the life and you're like, let's just throw this iron water in, let's just see what happens, let's make it all like darker, then you can definitely do that. The other tip that I said was about dipping leaves into the iron water. Again, that's going to change the whole bath. So if you want your pink tones and you're like dipping these plants in the iron, it's going to affect the whole bath, and it's not going to be the pink, but it won't be like really dark purple. It'll be like somewhere in between. So you just have to be aware of these things. And the other thing, do the bath, do that. Oh yeah. Pots. Using aluminum pots are going to be the most helpful, because aluminum acts as a natural mordant as well. So it will help the color bond a bit better. And don't use your dye pots for cooking. Even if it is a natural thing. So even if you're using like avocado, like, okay, once in a while is fine. You really give it a scrub. But if you're like constantly dyeing things with avocado skins and then you want to cook with it, avocado skins are actually a little bit toxic to eat. So you don't really want to do that. So try to keep your pots separate. I'm really good at finding pots on the street. I walk up the street and people are always seem to leave pots out. So I just have a pot collection now. Value Village is obviously really good. I had to actually buy this huge one, but this is good if you want to do really, really big things. Yeah, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to stir the pot. We're just going to take a little 5-minute break if you need to use bathroom or, I don't know, make a tea, and then we'll come back here. All right. So, I don't know if people are back, but I know this is being recorded. So I figure, hey, I'll just talk. All right. So I actually just wanted to show a few more examples of different colors that come out from different natural dyes. So this one is a Logwood Dye. This circle right here was from a eucalyptus leaf. This orange came from onion skins. And this was in the bundling dye method. And this one was madder and onion and tea. So the black is usually the tea leaves. This one was iris with a bit of tea. There's just so much. There's so much to explore. This one, I did a print on it, but this was all marigold, and then this was marigold with iron around it, and it made a little thing. I don't know what to do with it, but it's a little thing. And here again, you can see the iron coming out. Ooh, look at that. Okay, I love these texture pieces. These are my favorites. So this was another bundled dye. And this was a rose bush leaf, you can see here. And I dipped that in iron. And I put other little leaves in iron. And this method was a little bit different than that first bundle dyeing technique. This one, what you do is you put all the leaves laying flat and you fold it in half like this. And then you have to take a jar and roll it around the jar. So we're gonna pretend that this is a jar. And you're gonna go like this. You have to make sure you get a jar that fits in the pot. And then you tie it around. And so the leaves will actually make a print on the fabric there. But that's a really cool technique. I actually haven't done that in a while because I got really into eco printing. So I find the winter, I do more fabrics. In the summer, I do more leaves because that's when all the leaves are out. So I will do more eco printing on paper. This one here, again, was avocado. So it was a pink. And then this has an iron in it. So it made it more of a purple, dark color. I did check out the bath and it was still a very pale pink. It does take a while. So you do need patience. I would say by the end of this class, the one pillowcase that didn't have the leaves and such in there is still going to be light. And what I will do is actually just leave it in the pot all day and see how dark you can get the color. The other two I will unravel so that you can see the textures. But again, leaving it in longer, you will be able to extract more color. You don't want it to be too hot on like the pot, because sometimes you can actually mess up the color. Avocados, they don't really want too high of a heat. So, like if it is high of heat, it's going to come a little more on the brown side. If you keep it low, you'll get more of the pinks. But it's funny because, I put eucalyptus in there and eucalyptus seems to like it really hot. So you can't really please everyone that's in the pot there. You have to think of, what are you really trying to achieve? Do I want more of the pinks from the avocados, or do I really want the eucalyptus to show up? So that's some things to think about there. And let me see what else I can chat about. But if anyone has questions, please, you can write in the chat.
Hi, it's Roxanne here in the background. If people also want to just unmute themselves during the question time, please feel free to do that. You can also turn your screens on if you want. Just keep remembering we are recording, but if it's faster and easier to just chat with real time, that's totally fine as well.
Okay. Oh, okay, so there's a question here. Thank you. I heard that boiling onion skins and dipping fabric gives a nice pinky brown hue, and I would like to know more on the hibiscus. Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, there's two different onion skins. There's going to be, you know, your orange onion skins and your red onion skins. So the orange onion skins, well, you know, both, again, they're, you know, not onion will ever be the same, but I find the orange onion skins will be a little more on the yellow tones, and then the red ones will have more of that like brown orange hue. And you want to, again, for onion, you want to make sure that it will always actually come out pretty bright. Like onion is pretty amazing at how vibrant the color is, but I find mordanting is actually going to help it to become a little bit brighter. I don't find that onion fades so well. So like, I love onion. I think that it's like one of the best dyes actually. If you want to do a whole dye bath of it, you can, I mix the onions, you know, to me, I'm just like, whatever, but you can pick either if you want the red or just like the yellow. And for that, again, I'll do the same thing. I'll boil it for an hour. I wouldn't use high heat for onion. I usually just kind of keep it low and simmering. And yeah, just dip the fabric in there. You can do like a sort of tie-dye style where you kind of tie it and throw it in there. Onion is really great. Hibiscus, I like hibiscus. The only thing is that it does fade really fast. Even if you mordant it, hibiscus fades the fastest, I find. So you're gonna get like, I love making hibiscus juice, and so that color is so beautiful. And I dip things in, like, wow, it's so pink and red. And then a month later, it's like, what happened? You know, it just turned. Even if you do mordant it, I find hibiscus doesn't stay very long. So I would just stick, you know, if I'm going to do hibiscus, I will stick to dyeing something that maybe I'm going to make a tapestry with, maybe something that I'm not going to wear and wash a lot. But again, it does fade pretty quickly. Yes, changing the pH level will affect the outcome. Yeah, so you can put baking soda is going to help change the color. Usually baking soda will actually brighten the color. So some people, after they do a dye, they'll either have baking soda or iron. So iron is going to make the dye a little darker, and then baking soda is going to make it a little bit more brighter. I've used baking soda a few times, and it's funny because it will react like sometimes. I've used it in bundles, so I'm using a few different materials, and I liked how it would change a color of one thing, but then I wouldn't like how it changed the color of another thing. For some reason, it didn't like blend well for me, so I don't actually use baking soda all that much, but I know that it does change the color. Beets, beets will wash out pretty quickly. They're like hibiscus. Like, you're gonna get a nice color. It's like a berry too. Sometimes I'll take a berry and I'll smush it in there, and you are gonna get a nice tone. It's just that it's not gonna last that long. Like, again, if you want to just do it for something on a wall, like just a piece of fabric or like a cloth, something that maybe you're not gonna wash that much, then it's okay. But beets are gonna fade. Beets and berries, some flowers, they're just, you're gonna get a beautiful color, and then it's gonna disappear, but you're still gonna get a nice light hue. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's cabbage as well, where you get like a purple, but it doesn't last very long. Like, so some of those are fun, you know, experiments, but they're just gonna get really dull after. So it's fun to try. It just won't last that long. But onion lasts a long time. Onion is great, and tea is gonna last a long time as well. Turmeric is pretty good too. Turmeric will fade a little bit more. Marigold is amazing. Like I have my go-tos when it comes to dyeing, and Marigold is definitely number one, dried or fresh. And I just take it and I like, crumple it up and just throw it there, or I'll make a dye bath of it. Goldenrod is amazing too. You're gonna get a really nice green. Yeah, I do like avocados. What else do I use? Eucalyptus again, or I have my go-tos. And then I do buy some of the powdered stuff. So there's I go to GNS Dye, and you can get, if you want to just do a mix of like food stuff and then like their own natural pigments. This is Osage, and this is basically sawdust. So I don't know if you can see here. So I'll use a bit of sawdust, and that you're going to get a nice yellow. And they have a madder root. So this is if you can't, you have access to garden space and you do want to use something that's natural, you can always use these. This is madder root, and this one you're going to get a really beautiful pink. Actually, like that, it turns very pink. It's more pink than avocado. Avocado is more of like the dusty rose. Madder is going to be very vibrant. But if you want to just keep things really simple, and you really do just want to stick to kitchen scraps, avocados and onions are going to be the best. And then having something that's going to alter the color, and I highly recommend just finding a rusty nail and doing the iron, because from those two and the iron, you'll at least get 4 colors, which will be really, really cool. Hopefully that answered some questions. Again, feel free to ask more. I'm actually going to go and check on the dye pot again, just to give it a nice little stir. So for people that are interested in natural dyeing, there are a lot of groups on Facebook. One of them that I use is, I think it's just called, one is called Sacred Eco Printing, and then the other one is, I think it's just called Natural Dye. If you just look up on Facebook, there's a lot of like tips and tricks, and people also give different resources of where to get materials. Again, the materials, they are going to be these like packaged kind of natural pigments. These are good, good for the winter if you can't access any plants, and then you can stick with your vegetables and scraps if you just want to, keep it very simple. Let me see what else I can chat about here while we're waiting for the pot. Oh, what is this one? Oh no, wait, that's a logwood. Okay. Okay, yeah, so this was the blackberry too. I dyed I did this one a year ago. So it still has a purple tint. This is logwood. Logwood's gonna be a beautiful purple. Okay, so you can see the difference here. Logwood is, it's like a bark of a tree, but we don't have access to it here, but you can, if you just type in logwood, you can find someone that sells it. So it's gonna have a really nice purple, and then this one is gonna be your berry dye. People have used cranberries and such. Again, it's not gonna last that long. So you wanna stick with something that will give you the brightest color. But if you do want to use beets and hibiscus, then you can use wool, because wool is actually gonna absorb the color the most, and it's not gonna fade as much. Oh, I totally forgot black bean. Black bean is so cool. Black beans, I have some here. I will open them. have like a bluish tint. So I noticed some black beans don't have like that bluish tint, but these ones do. So you want to make sure that you have the bluish tint black beans. The color is incredible. Again, it doesn't last long, but it's pretty magical. So what I do with black beans, I take these and I put them in a pot of water. It's not hot, it's just cold water. And they're very finicky. So you have to put the beans in the water. So let's say there's that much beans, you can see here, then I'll put like that much water on top. You just want to cover. And you don't want to touch it. You just want to let the beans and the water sit together in peace. And the next morning, you're just going to do a little stir. And this bright blue comes out. Now, if you stir too much, it's super weird. It starts to like get purple and then it like turns brown. And so you just have to do this one stir and you get this blue. And then you have to accept that that's going to be the blue that you have. And then you will dip your fabric into the beans, or you can just pour the water on top of the fabric and let that sit. And it actually happens very quickly. It's funny with the black beans, like the longer, the more brown it will be. So you actually don't want to keep it in for too long. It will turn out a blue. And it's going to be amazing and it's going to fade. But for the time being, the couple months that you can have the blue, it's quite pretty. It's really nice when you do it on top of onion or a marigold, because the onion and marigold will have like a yellowy color. So sometimes you get a very nice green from the black bean. I completely forgot about black bean. I haven't used it so much because it does fade, and so I don't use it that much, but it is pretty cool when you do use it. Again, yeah, you want to have it with something that you're not going to wash all that often. Even if you mordant it, it's still going to fade. But I find if you do use it on top of another color, so if you again do a dye with onion skins and then you do the black bean dip after, oh my God, it sounds like we're eating at a restaurant. We're gonna eat our onion skins, I'm gonna have a black bean dip, and yeah, it will turn this like nice greenish color. And again, I don't like really wash it so much with soap. I'll just kind of do a rinse depending again what it is that I'm using. But yeah, black beans are a really nice color that I don't use enough. I probably should. Black tea again is really good. I do like using black tea. You when it comes to iron, you can also get there's these little iron crystals. Yes, ferrous sulfate. So it kind of looks sort of powdery. You can also get this at GNS Dye. Another fun little thing that I do with that is, again, wearing gloves, I'll take some of the sprinkles and just kind of, when I'm doing a bundle, just kind of like sprinkle it in there. And I find it creates a very veiny sort of look. I wonder if I actually have a piece of material here to show you. I did a lot of clothing and they're actually all at a store right now, so that's where I would use that technique a lot. I don't know. Actually, this has some of it. Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty decent example. Okay, great. So this you see here, this was a Marigold dye. What I did was I took black tea and I took sprinkles of the iron and I sprinkled it in there, and I actually used a bit of marigold, and this one I just did it like a bundle. So the iron just would kind of bleed and it would turn purple from, the base color, and it just creates like a nice kind of texture. So there's the whole piece. I don't know what I'm doing with it. It should become something, but you'll get something nice like that. They're all experiments. It's sort of, I find iron would be sort of like when people do ice dyeing, because the colors kind of bleed and they're very, organic and natural looking. All righty. Any other questions? Well, what I say is that, yeah, we'll leave the last 10 minutes for questions and such. I'm gonna go check on my dye stuff, and we'll just take another little break, because a lot of dyeing is break time. But if people have questions, feel free to ask. I'm gonna go check on the dyes and make sure everything is cool. You also want to make sure that you do your cleanup around. The natural dyes actually do stain some stuff, so you want to just make sure that you're always cleaning. Okay, I'll be back. So I did check on the ice dyeing. Okay, we'll get on. I did check on the pot, and right now it's still, the color is just kind of a lighter, dustier, I would say, not as much pink, a little more browns. Sometimes, again, the longer you leave it in, it will turn a little more pink. So what I will do before we finish is I'll take out the bundles so you can see the different tones. And I will show you the pillowcase that we didn't do the bundle, but that one I'm actually gonna leave it in the dye for a lot longer, because I know that I can extract more color. I just went back to the pot, and what I did was I wore those big purple gloves that I was wearing before. You can get those at the dollar store, but they're actually really amazing, because you can actually stick your hand in the hot pot and you will not feel the hot water. And what I did was I even smushed more of the pits, and I noticed as I was smushing the pits, more pink was coming out of them, and it was very soft pink. So I feel like I can get a little bit more color coming out of that. And then we'll see at the end from the bundles. So the process of ice dyeing, okay. That one, a lot of people will do with if they're doing sort of tie dyeing, so they'll do with just synthetic dyes. They'll basically make a color and put it in an ice cube, and then kind of lay it in their pattern, or sorry, in their fabric, and then roll it. You can do ice dye with natural dyes. It's really similar to bundlings, that you don't actually really need to do it. But if you wanted to do a natural ice dye, you can make your pigments and freeze it in the freezer. So you'll make a few different colors, but they might all bleed and kind of look the same in the end. I feel like it's just going to be like a brown kind of mush, unless you're using things that are more on the purple tones. So I think the logwood would actually do really well in a madder. But if you're doing an avocado and onion, it's just going to ice it to brown. So it might be better to actually just stick with the bundle dyeing method. But again, you would create your pigment, so your dye bath, and then freeze it in little ice cubes. And you would take a piece of fabric and just put the ice cubes on, roll it up, and then you can submerge it in hot water, and the ice will melt the colors. But because it is natural, I think synthetic the colors are just more bright, so it usually looks a little bit better with the synthetic ones. You can make different inks with natural dyes. So I actually haven't done it yet, but there are ways of doing it with avocado. You can, once you make your dye bath, you can just literally keep it simmering till the water is almost all gone, and you have just a little bit, and then you'll have that color pigment, and people use it for watercolor paintings, so you have a more concentrated dye. What else can you do? I think in natural dye, I think the coolest thing is the eco printing too, so using leaves. I think that's where you get a solid print. You know what, I'll show you some better ones so you can see the other world of natural dyes. I did this one yesterday. So I made you can do this in fabric too. I just cut out a circle, and I laid it on the piece of paper, So again, with fabric, you can take little marbles and tie, you know, a string around it, and you'll get like, you know, a string line that won't really catch the dye. So if you put something on top of it, then that should stay white and the rest of the colors will appear. So there's like a shine there. So that's geranium leaf. Geranium leaf will be yellow. That again is a Japanese maple. So you're gonna get a green. These are some other leaves. Ah, the shine. There we go. So you can see the different colors that can be extracted from leaves. Now you can do this on fabric. The only thing is it has to be really, really, really tight. So the one method where I said you roll it around a jar. So we'll pretend this is the fabric. You roll around the jar and the print should appear here. I did use that, one of my favorite materials that I have. This one here, I did that method, and I don't know, this one's actually, it's just my favorite because it just created so many different textures. And I only used eucalyptus leaves, so I don't know, there's like a leaf that you can see there. And you see there's string lines that do happen, and that's going to happen in the bundle, so you can see here. That's okay. I like that one a lot. Is the plant material to be put in a mordant first? No, the plant doesn't need to be in a mordant, but doing it in a aluminum pot is going to act as a natural mordant for the material. So it just gets a little bit of a boost. But plant, again, sticking to the ones that have the tannins will produce, you know, a longer lasting color. And then again, the berries don't have tannins in it, so it's going to fade a little bit faster. But no, you don't need to mordant any of the materials. Only the cotton. Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the pot, and I'm going to just actually show you the process of what's happening at the moment. And we'll actually open a bundle and see. Normally you want to keep it in for an hour, and it's been about like 45 minutes in the pot, which is fine. I think the silk one will take it really well. And you'll see how the pillowcase is going. Again, I believe that I will keep the pillowcase in for, you know, another hour after this class. Or maybe even overnight. Like I can just keep it in as long as I want. So I will let me just prepare my space here. All right. All right. Steaming. Actually, I will use this as well. Okay. So again, the skins I just smush. I'll show you some of the pits because they do make a nice pink color. Comes out from it. There we go. Okay, so you can see there's like a pit there, and I'm again just trying to get a little more dye. Just keep squishing it and squishing it. So this is a pillowcase that I know that I need to do another round of it. I'm just gonna squeeze it out. Because it's a very, the color is probably a little bit funny right now too. It's a very pale pink color, but I am gonna leave it in after this class just to extract more color. So you see here, like that. And then let's start by opening up one of the silk ones. There we go. So you know what, I'll actually put this back in the pot and let it sink. I'll show you color. I don't know if you can see, but there's some color happening in there. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so I usually just squeeze it out and then I unravel the string. This one was the piece of silk and there was some tea and eucalyptus inside. Oh yeah, tea, onion. I can see the onion. The onion's gonna be the biggest thing for sure. Smell the eucalyptus. Oh, nice. I'll take these gloves off. Oh, okay. Ooh. Yes, very nice onion. So again, like, this wasn't in for too long. I would keep it in longer, but I just want to kind of show you the process and you know how things turn out. So the onion really came up through. The eucalyptus needs higher heat, so that one didn't show as much. There's a little bit of tea. I don't know if you can see from here. This look is a little finicky. There we go. Okay, so you can see there. So we got some of, mostly just the onion and the tea came up. Again, the eucalyptus won't show as much. It's pretty hard to see in this light, but it is definitely more of the orangey tones here that you'll get. But yeah, that's really bad lighting. It's like, ta-da, you can't see anything. And the avocado turned it a little more on the peachy side of things. So first it was a hibiscus kind of dye, and now the avocado would make it more of a dusty pink, more on the orange tones. Let's see the pillowcase. Put on my gloves. Okay. Ooh, so somehow, right. This was from the leaves. Okay, let me, oh, sorry, this looks like a mess. Okay. So it seems like the leaves from the maple tree really came through, which is amazing. So these things, we'll see here. Oh yeah, just squeeze this in here. Okay, now I'll take my gloves off now. Oh, it's hot. Whoa, cool. I love when this happens. It's my favorite part. The whole thing about this is like you need patience. Sometimes I take things out too early. I'm like, I just want to see what happens. And it's like, oh, wait longer. Whew, hot, hot, hot. Maybe I will use a glove. Cool. Great. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so I'll give a little close up so you can see. I'll even show you like peeling. So here was an onion. I'm just gonna peel that. Okay, see this little green spot here? That was from one of the leaves. These are all onions. I believe, what is the red? The red. Oh, you know what? I think the red is actually, let me see here. See, it's all, okay, the green. Okay, you know what? I think the red is actually from, yes, the red is from the red onion. So that's funny because red onion doesn't always make red, but here it did. That's cool. The red is from the red onion, and then these ones are from the like orangey kind of onions. This is from the leaves, the maple leaves. The tea didn't come through that much. I think it just kind of was like an overall kind of color there. And the eucalyptus, I think the eucalyptus just needed to be in there for a bit longer and to have more high heat. But the outside, you can see there is a pink hue here. That's from the avocado. And then the inside is from the onion skins and the leaves. So when it dries, it's going to be a little bit lighter. I think it's actually going to look a little nicer too. The colors will probably match a little bit, right? A little more. Fine, when it's dark, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't blend as well. But that's some plant magic right there. That's an easy way to transform things. I think it would be cool. Oh yeah, see, there you go. That's all that. It would be cool on a shirt for sure. And this is a nice pillowcase. Yeah. So that is plant dye. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes. Does anyone have any last little question or thought or concern? I will actually, I'll write down my email address here because I do have a thing of notes. And if you are interested in that, then you can send me an email and I will send it out. I will also add my Instagram, which is Poison and Dye. And the reason I came up with Poison and Dye was because I was really into poisonous plants, poisonous plant medicine. So the witches' herbs like datura and angel trumpets and belladonna and henbane, and what they've used for witches' flying omens. So I was first kind of researching that, and then I started drawing images of these plants and making block prints and adding it to my natural dye collection. So as you can see here, there's like a foxglove print that I made. This is like a datura over there. And so they all just kind of, oh yeah, I'm wearing a shirt too, mugwort. They all just came together. Poisonous plants is a whole other workshop. So yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. If not, I will begin my little tidy up time over here as I have lots of leaves and things that came about. Pop them on the floor.